Alright, so now that you've added all the necessary content onto your site, it is now time to install some plugins. And of course, the very first plugin we're going to install will be Elementor. Before I do that, I do have 3 plugins already active on my site: SiteGround Optimizer and Security, because I'm hosting with SiteGround, and then WordPress Importer. If you've imported the XML file that I provided for you in the previous video, you most likely would have used the WordPress Importer plugin. So I did the exact same thing for myself, so that's why I do have the plugin active there. What we're going to do right now is we're going to add 3 different plugins, and the first one obviously is going to be Elementor. That's the main plugin that we're going to be working with. It's the one right here, and of course it's the free version of Elementor, but because it's the free version of Elementor, it's a little bit restricted in terms of features available. In order to compensate for that, we're going to install 2 more plugins, and the very first one here is right next to Elementor. It's the Essential Add-ons for Elementor by WP Developer. So I'm going to go ahead to install that plugin as well. And then finally, we're going to install the one down here, which is the Elementor Header and Footer Builder by Brainstorm Force. So let's go ahead and install the plugin. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead now to install the plugins, and I'm just going to go ahead and activate them one at a time. Activate Header and Footer Builder, and then activate Essential Add-ons for Elementor. Now, if once you activate the Essential Add-ons for Elementor, you may see a page. In fact, let me go ahead and click on the link right here. Because this isn't the first time that I have installed the Essential Add-ons plugin on my page, I'm not seeing the welcome page. So it's very likely that you may have seen a different page where they will say, hey, you know, welcome, choose which elements you want to work with, just click on next. They will also offer you the upgrade to like pay for the paid version of Essential Add-ons. Just ignore that, just click on next, and then finish, and then this will basically be the page that you would see. But more on that a bit later. Let's take a look at Elementor first of all. Okay, settings. What exactly do we have in here? The first thing here is going to be the post types. If you're working with custom post types, you will have the option to check them in here as well, but I'm just working with posts and pages, so I'm going to keep these 2 checked. Now it says disable default colors. Checking this box will disable Elementor's default colors and make Elementor inherit the colors from your theme. Now, if you're using an advanced theme, like let's say Astra or Ocean WP and so on, and you want to use the colors from your theme, you will uncheck these 2 boxes right here. But because we're using the Hello theme, which is a very lightweight theme, Elementor is going to be doing all the heavy lifting for style, design, and functionality. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to check these 2 boxes. I'm going to uncheck these 2 boxes, okay? Because we do in fact want to use the default colors provided by Elementor. So I'm going to keep these 2 boxes unchecked. And then finally, improve Elementor. If you'd like to contribute to Elementor, you can come in here and check the box, but I am not going to do that. Let's move on to style. We'll talk about this one a bit later actually. Integrations. If you're working with Google Maps and you need to install the API key, this is exactly where you would install it. Also, if you end up installing other plugins like let's say PayPal or Stripe or things like that, and you need to integrate them with Elementor, it will be on this page where you will find the options to do so. You do have the advanced tab. You don't need to change anything in here. Basically, most of these are for security and for speed. If you notice an issue with Elementor, maybe your site is becoming very slow, you can come in here right now and switch the CSS print method from external file to internal embedding, but only do this if you're having issues with your speed, and it's not because you're using some other bloated plugin or your web host isn't good enough for things like that. Only change this as a last resort. Same goes with the switch editor loader method. If you want to troubleshoot issues on your website, you will come in here and enable this. The unfiltered file uploads, Elementor has kind of like an inbuilt security where if you try to upload images to the Elementor system, Elementor will take a look and see whether or not the file is actually safe to work with. By enabling this feature, which is to enable unfiltered file uploads, you do run the risk of uploading corrupt files onto your website, so I would recommend you keep this one disabled. Same goes with Google Fonts Load. Again, you don't need to change anything in here, just keep that one on default. If you want to work with Font Awesome 4, you can come in here right now and enable that feature. And then finally, you have experiments. This is where you will have access to all the latest features that Elementor are currently working on. You can see the status of most of these is set to beta, alpha, beta, and so on. In most cases, you want to keep these ones on default, all right? But there is one I can recommend that you activate, and that is the improved asset loading. This is meant to reduce the amount of code on each page built with Elementor. What that means is that your pages will typically load faster as a result. Even though it's in beta, I have been using this for quite some time and it seems to be working. So I'm going to go ahead now and activate the improved asset loading. I'm also going to activate the improved CSS loading as well. Please, if in the future on this same website you've been working on, you notice certain issues, you may want to come back in here and disable this too, but I believe it should be fine. So I'm going to come down in here and save those changes. Okay, one more thing I want to mention really quickly is you have role manager. If you have several kinds of users on your site with different kinds of roles, in here you can determine who can actually use Elementor. So say for example you don't want a user with the role of contributor to work with Elementor, you come in here to contributor and simply check no access to editor. With the paid version of Elementor, you have access to more features. And then our tools in here, this one is actually very important, the regenerate CSS and data. If you make changes like the color of your text, the size of your text, you save those changes and you're not seeing those changes take effect on your site, as long as you're sure that it isn't caching from your computer or from your server, you may want to come in here and try to regenerate files and data. What this will do is that it will rebuild the CSS style sheet, and hopefully that should fix the problem and you'll be able to see your changes. Sync library, save mode, debug bar, we'll ignore that one for now. Replace URL. If you have broken links on your site and you want to point them to new links, you come in here, add the old link, go to the second box, add the new link, and then simply click on replace URL, and you fixed the broken link. Version control. If for some reason in the future you upgrade to the latest version of Elementor and something breaks on your site, maybe your site doesn't work as well as it used to, you can come in here right now and simply roll back to the previous version. That's what this feature is in here for. If you want to become a beta tester and work with the unofficially released versions of Elementor that are still in progress, these typically have plenty of bugs and issues. So if you're interested in being a bug hunter for Elementor, you can come in here right now and enable. And then maintenance mode, again, if your site is under construction or you're making some major changes, you don't want anyone to be able to access your site during that time, you can come in right now and choose coming soon or choose maintenance, and then you'll have to build a page that will be displayed for maintenance. So coming soon, you'll choose that template right here, and then while your page is under maintenance or coming soon, you can choose who will be able to have access to your website at the time. And then finally, import export kit. You can export your template kit to use on another website, or you can even import a template kit from an external site if you wanted to. So you simply click on import template kit, then right here you'll be able to do so. I might show you how to do this a bit later in the course. And finally, system info. If you need to troubleshoot your website and you go to Elementor support, they ask you, they say, hey, can you provide us with the information of your setup? This is where you can provide all the necessary information. You simply come in here, download system info, send it to the support guys at Elementor, and then they will be able to help you. So that's essentially it for the main settings for Elementor. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next class.